tell you a good Chris Rock story. All jokes aside, legendary comedy club in Chicago. It was the epitome of black comedy in the '90s. Everybody came through there, from George Wallace, Dave Chappelle, you name it, top name, all four kings of comedy. You know, it was the spot. So Chris Rock had come through. This is after CB4 and after Saturday Night Live. His career kind of took a dip. This is before he did the joke about OJ, where he said, "I wouldn't say I would have killed her, but I understand." He's working on that special, and I'm the host with him all that weekend. So the first night, it's a Thursday night. They used to do Thursday through Sunday. And he wanted to go out. And so we riding around. I'm in my girlfriend's Chevy Corsica. I took him to the Click. I took him to 2 or 3 other places. And he didn't like none of them. And at one point, he was like, man, this is terrible. He said, if my girl knew I was out this late and I was with these, the rats, blah, 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 she'd be mad at me just for being out. So then I took him home. Then the next day, we're in the dressing room. Now, the show is packed, sold out, around the building. All jokes was the spot. This when the Bulls used to come, the Bears, 85 Bears, everybody hanging out, a lot of celebrity situation. He in the back in a slump like this. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? Because, for me, this all jokes aside, and it's sold out. I'm like, wow, it's finna be cracking. He was like, I'm mad because I'm here. I'm like, what you mean because you're here? He had already done CB4 at Saturday Night Live, but his career wasn't doing what he did. He went and did that special, and I believe that's the special where he said, I love black people, but I hate N-words, and his career took off. And so I got to see him work that whole special out, and then he blossomed and became the Chris Rock we know today. He was mad because his career wasn't where he wanted to be after, because, they had slated him to be the next Eddie Murphy when he went to Saturday Night Live, and it didn't pop off like that. And another story he told me backstage, which is out now, he recently mentioned it, and I had bought tickets for someone to attend this show. He said, the one thing he told me in that green room, he said, and one part of my career, man, I got one regret. He said, I let Martin Lawrence open for me, and he was a young kid, and I'm like, yeah, let the kid open. And they did the Park West, and Martin demolished the building, and he couldn't follow him. People started walking out on him. He said, just one more time, he want Martin to let him open for him so he can get him back. True story. Jamie Foxx. Well, I got a couple of Jamie stories because Jamie's like a fan of mine. I didn't notice until I did the Laugh-A-Palooza. He did it twice. I did it twice. Before he introduces each act, he'll have a little testimony about the person, and he had said something about, this guy, I've been watching him for a little while, but what I did notice about him is he's fearless when it comes to going up. No matter who goes on before him, he'll still go on stage. Because we did Laugh-A-Palooza in Atlanta, and they were doing a series of DVDs, but they shot it all in one show. So imagine 28 comics performing 5 to 10 minutes, and the ones that's going over because they're famous or they just getting a good set, and it's Atlanta, it's at the Civic Center, and it's blowing up. So I'm doing this joke, and I used to do this joke about my nephew who is sort of disabled, but we took him skating. And so I had to demonstrate, me skating, And as I went around skating, normally when I do the joke, I'm like, then we took skating, and he was doing this. But I went around, and it was a big stage. So by the time I went around the first time, Jamie was in the wing. He said, keep going. So I went around again. And the more times I went, the louder the laughs got. Because of him, that joke became like a signature joke of mine because he was in the wings. Keep going. Another story, I'll tell you a good story about the brother. He was taking care of his mother, and I believe he has a disabled sister. And the first time I went to his house, and he had his grandmother set up, not his mother, his grandmother was set up in her own little grandmother's suite, and his sister, he had his whole family there, and he's really a family dude when it comes to going by the house. And I've been over his house a couple times, and then he moved and he got another house. But the crazy story is, in this business, as comedians, we have to be censored now because there's so many hashtag movements and so many situations where, you got to be worried about people's humanity and their consciousness. My son, he's a millennial, so he taught me that. But Jamie was actually caught up in a situation where it was a false accusation from the Me Too movement. I don't know if y'all heard the story, but it was a lady said she was at a party at Jamie's house, and like I said, he lets everybody come to the house. He invited her back to the bedroom when the party got a little late. She says, and that's already been proven false, that when he asked her for sex, she said no. She said he took his penis and smacked her in the face with it. Now, he didn't do it, but that's a hilarious story to begin with. But I was thinking about if anybody was to falsely accuse me of anything, that's the shit I want to come to court for. Because I'm going to defend myself. Yes, Your Honor, I do have one long enough to be smacking people around. And as a brother, you got to add to the story. What happened was, she wasn't, I didn't ask her for sex. She was running through my house. And I said, quit all that running around. I tripped her with it because I'm a tripper with my thing. And then she was in my fridge, and I closed the fridge with my thing. Get out my damn fridge. So Jamie Foxx, really good dude.